The silence in the house was a novel experience for Mark. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, he was truly alone. His wife, Clara, had finally taken their two children on a long planned trip to the mountains, leaving Mark to enjoy a stretch of uninterrupted solitude. He relished the quiet, a stark contrast to the usual cheerful chaos that filled their home. On that first evening, as Mark was finishing some work, a sharp knock echoed through the quiet house. It was his neighbor Leo, a man known for his vigilance and unsolicited advice. Leo's eyes were wide with excitement as he announced he had just installed a comprehensive security system. "You can't be too careful these days, Mark," Leo insisted, his voice low and serious. "Especially with your family away. It's better to have eyes everywhere and not need them than to need them and not have them." He spoke of break-ins and stolen peace of mind, his words planting a subtle seed of anxiety in Mark's mind. Initially, Mark dismissed it as paranoia. Their neighborhood was safe, but Leo's persistent warnings, coupled with the eerie silence of the empty house, began to gnaw at him later that night. Driven by a newfound unease, he found himself browsing an online store for cameras. He settled on a modern, discreet set with a real-time feed to his phone. The purchase felt like a step towards reclaiming control. The cameras arrived the next day. Mark spent the afternoon meticulously installing them, covering the front door, the back patio, and the hallway. He tested the app, watching the crisp, clear feeds from different angles. A sense of satisfaction washed over him. He felt prepared, secure. In his focus on the technical task, however, he completely forgot to mention the new security measures to Clara. The days passed quickly, and soon the house was filled with laughter and life again, as Clara and the kids returned. The familiar routines settled back into place, and Mark felt his heart swell with contentment. The temporary silence was forgotten, replaced by the comforting sounds of his family. Days later, during a quiet moment at his office, Mark remembered the cameras. Curious, he opened the app, expecting to see nothing more than his cat napping on the sofa. His blood ran cold. The motion-activated recording showed a man, a complete stranger, walking calmly through his living room. The timestamp was from earlier that morning, when the kids were at school and Clara was supposed to be home alone. The man moved with an unsettling familiarity, as if he belonged there. Mark's mind raced, searching for a logical explanation. A plumber, an electrician, but Clara had mentioned nothing. A cold knot tightened in his stomach. He said nothing that night, but the doubt festered. He began checking the feeds obsessively. 2 days later, his worst suspicions were confirmed. The man was back. This time the footage was longer, clearer. This was no service visit. This was an intrusion. Driven by a desperate need for the truth, Mark took a drastic step. He bought 2 more, even smaller cameras. That evening, while Clara was distracted, he hid one in the living room, and another with a trembling hand in their own bedroom. He felt a pang of guilt, but the need to know overpowered it. He had to see what his own home was hiding. The weight was agonizing. He moved through the days like a ghost, his smile forced, his mind always elsewhere, locked on the secret feeds in his phone. Finally, a week later, he mustered the courage to review the recordings. At first, it was just mundane footage of family life. Then he saw it. The recording from his bedroom was unambiguous, devastating. There was Clara in their bed with the same stranger. The intimacy of the scene, the ease with which this man inhabited his space, shattered Mark's world. The pain was physical, a searing heat that spread through his chest. He watched, numb and disbelieving, as the life he knew crumbled into dust on the screen. He confronted her as soon as the kids were gone. He didn't shout. He simply played the footage on his phone and watched the color drain from Clara's face. Her composure broke instantly. Sobs racked her body as a torrent of apologies and excuses poured out. "It was a mistake, Mark. It didn't mean anything. I love you," she pleaded. But Mark looked at her as if she were a stranger. The trust that had been the foundation of their life together was irreparably broken. "It meant something to me," he said, his voice hollow yet firm. "It meant everything." He knew with a chilling certainty that their marriage was over. In the painful formal process of divorce, Mark dug deeper. He needed to know who had so casually destroyed his family. The name he uncovered added a layer of cruel irony to his pain. The man was Dr. Adrian Finch, a well-respected obstetrician, a family man with a wife and two young children of his own. The hypocrisy was staggering. A cold, hard resolve settled over Mark. This wasn't just about personal betrayal anymore, it was about justice. Adrian Finch presented himself as a pillar of the community, a man entrusted with the most intimate moments of people's lives, while secretly violating the sanctity of another's mark. Carefully edited the clearest clips, the ones that left no doubt about the identities of the people involved. With a deep breath, and pushing aside any thought of the wider consequences, he uploaded the video online. He offered no commentary. The images, he believed, should speak for themselves. The video spread like wildfire. The fallout was swift and severe. Dr. Finch's reputation was obliterated. His patients abandoned him, the clinic terminated his contract, and his wife, upon seeing the evidence, left him immediately. The world saw the man behind the white coat Mark watched from a distance. There was no joy in it, only a bitter, quiet satisfaction. The truth was out. The scales, in some small way, felt balanced. The all-consuming anger that had driven him began to recede, leaving behind a weary calm. In the following months, Mark focused on rebuilding his life. The pain of the betrayal became a dull ache, a part of his history but no longer his entire present. He rediscovered simple pleasures and the value of his own company. He had learned a brutal lesson about trust and deception, but he had also discovered his own strength. The truth, no matter how painful, had ultimately set him free, allowing him to walk away from the ruins and start anew on his own terms.